I love horror games, not for the jump scares or the extreme amounts of violence, but for the very deep and detailed stories that they can tell. When I think of deep and detailed horror games, one of the very first franchises that comes to mind is Silent Hill. So to say that I was excited when we got our very first teaser trailer for Silent Hill F, it's an understatement. I was over the moon. I waited for this game for years, and after patiently waiting, Silent Hill F is finally here. Today, I want to take some time to talk about the game, the things I liked and the things I didn't like, my opinions on the story, all of it. Before we go any further, it would be really cool if you could like the video and subscribe. I stream Tuesday through Thursday here on YouTube and Twitch, so feel free to check out the description to get a link to my Twitch as well. I will not be breaking down the story of Silent Hill F for you here. There are tons of videos that do a much better job of that than I ever could, and I would highly recommend you go watch one of those instead if you're looking for a story breakdown. I will be talking about the game with the understanding that everyone watching this video has played through it, so here's your spoiler warning if you haven't had the opportunity to play the game yet. I highly recommend it, it's great. Also, I should probably mention that I am very biased. I'm obsessed with this franchise, and it's been one of my favorite horror series for a very, very long time. And watching the trailers as they came out for this game, I already knew I was probably going to like it, so yeah, I'm very biased. I will detail and talk about the things I didn't like about the game, though. I'm not that biased. With all of that out of the way, let's get started. So when Konami developers started talking about Silent Hill F, one of the few things they kept mentioning is that they wanted to take Silent Hill into a different direction from previous games. And I think they've done exactly that with this one. I think a lot of people are struggling with adapting to the new direction because it can feel quite different from something like the Silent Hill 2 remake. I should go ahead and mention that I'm going to be referencing the Silent Hill 2 remake quite often because it's what I have the most experience with outside of this new entry into the franchise. I don't own any of the original Silent Hill games, and emulation is a process. So yeah, I'm going to be referencing Silent Hill 2 remake quite a bit. That isn't to say that I'm not knowledgeable though. The amount of deep dives and information delving I've done on this franchise is kind of insane. I know my shit. Overall, however, I did still get that same feeling I've had from Silent Hill games in the past. It's hard for me to explain, but basically it felt different, but also familiar at certain parts at the same time. One of the big things I noticed was the distinct lack of a radio. If you've played Silent Hill games in the past, you know radios are a big part of the game, as you carry one throughout your journey to alert you when monsters are nearby. This is a huge thing in the Silent Hill 2 game, whether you play the original or the remake, it doesn't matter. In Silent Hill F, you don't get that. However, I do think that this change led to better jump scares. Without the radio to tell you when monsters are nearby, it was extremely easy for me to get jump scared by things hiding around corners and stuff. That isn't to say that there weren't still jump scares in something like the Silent Hill 2 remake. I still did get jump scared quite a bit, even with the radio. There is one section of the game where you're in a house and I swore you could hear the same crackling sound the radio made in previous games, but that might have just been my nerves. The house was so quiet and spooky, I could have just imagined the noise to fill the silence. Speaking of spooky vibes, let's talk about the atmosphere and world of the game. Something that I think is very important when you're trying to sell a certain vibe or atmosphere is a soundtrack. And the soundtrack for Silent Hill F is so good. It's far less industrial than previous entries in the franchise, but either way, it's amazing. It sells the vibe that they're trying to sell with the game, and it's great. I've been playing songs from the soundtrack throughout this video, but if you have the time, I would highly recommend you go and listen to the entire soundtrack. It's really, really good. This world that Konami has crafted is beautiful. The graphics for this game are gorgeous, and the design of the world can be breathtaking at times. There were multiple times throughout the end of my playtime that I saw moments in the game that I could 1000% see being turned into computer wallpapers. While I can't tell you exactly what the meaning behind it all is, I really, really enjoyed that flowers played such a huge part in this game. At least they were freaking everywhere. Flowers and plants were everywhere in this game. One of the flowers you see the most often in this game is the red spider lily. If you've been a long-time anime enjoyer, you probably have seen these flowers pop up in certain places. They're very big in Tokyo Ghoul and Demon Slayer. The reason behind that is because in Japanese culture, these flowers are often associated with death and the afterlife. They frequently appear near graveyards and temples and things like that. These flowers are some of my favorite ever, so I was really, really excited to see so many of them pop up and be such a big part of this game. All of the flowers and plants and vines and things like that grow all across the town, while they can look pretty scary and spooky, there's also some beauty in it. I actually found quite a few of these areas actually looking very pretty. I know that's weird to say, but they were just really pretty. They're even more beautiful when you get to the end of the game and you start walking up the mountain back up to your house. The sun shines through all of the flowers and the plants, and it just looks so pretty, even with how messed up this world is. It's hard for me to really put into words what about this theme I liked so much. I can't explain it. I liked it a lot. I really liked this whole flowers, vines, growing everywhere theme that they went with. I liked it a lot. I could not set about making a video about this game and not spend some amount of time talking about how much I enjoyed this theme, because it was a huge part of what kept bringing me back to the game. I just wanted to look at more of these plants growing around everywhere and seeing how they were taking over the town. I really liked this. The town of Ebitsugaoka is just as eerie and foggy as Silent Hill, so that's nice. Also, fun fact, when you break down the name of the town, it translates to Ebisu, god of prosperity and luck, and Gaoka, which means hill. And in the true ending of the game, you have Hinako, the main character, say the line, "Our silent Ebitsugaoka." So there's your Silent Hill town. There were so many people who were butt mad that this game didn't take place in the same town of Silent Hill. And on the one hand, I get it. The game is literally called Silent Hill, so you'd expect it to take place in that town. But have you literally never wondered if there were other places in the world that had the same mystery and spookiness as the town of Silent Hill? I see Konami branching out to other parts of the world as an absolute win. That being said, I don't want a Silent Hill world tour. Please, Konami, don't do that. Anyway, back on track. As someone who has never lived in Japan and wasn't even a thought in anyone's mind in the 1960s, it was really cool to see this game set in 1960s Japan. From the way everyone dresses and the style of the architecture, the game definitely sells the 60s Japan setting. Speaking of Japan, can I just say I absolutely love that we went full head first into Japanese horror with this game. I find Japanese horror so intriguing, and it's one of my favorite styles of horror content. And they got Ryokishi07 to write the story? Amazing. For those who don't know, Ryokishi is the guy behind the Higurashi When They Cry series. He wrote those visual novels. Higurashi is legendary in the Japanese horror or horror anime scene, so this is a huge win for those of us in these communities. Let's talk about the story, actually. It's intriguing. I feel they went with a much more cryptic route this time instead of the classic, let me just show you why you're dealing with all of this right now. When I finished the game for the first time, I was left with a million questions. When you finish the game for the first time, you're locked into one ending. There's a total of 4, I think, but you can only get the other 3 in New Game Plus. You have your normal ending, your good ending, bad ending, true ending, and a UFO ending. That's right, baby. They brought back the UFO endings. Let's go! The normal ending is what I have the most experience with and the most to talk about, so that's where I'll be putting my focus. Psst, hey, you remember that spoiler warning I gave you earlier? Yeah, we're getting real deep in spoiler territory now, so if you don't want to hear about how the game ends, you should turn back. Go watch something else on my channel. I have a bunch of different videos you could go check out. When you finish the normal ending, you have our main character, Hinako, standing outside of a shrine with her big wedding form, shouting and swinging her pipe around. And then the credits roll. Yep, I'm not even kidding. That's how it ends. And then we get the after credit scene. There's police sirens, and you can hear police officers talking to each other over their radios. They're talking about some crazed maniac who's been going around in a wedding dress and attacking people. They talk about 2 male victims and that they've been finding these red and white capsules at each location the attacker has been at. Anyway, while playing the game, you have these capsules that you can take that heal you for a small amount. But by the end of the game, it's pretty obvious that these pills are affecting your mental state pretty significantly. So there's theories about what the normal ending means and what happened. I'm just going to tell you what I think happened. Throughout the game, there's a lot of talk about choices and decisions and making them for yourself. You also talk quite a bit with Hinako's sister Junko, who is in an arranged marriage. What I think happened in the end is that Hinako was forced into an arranged marriage and she wasn't able to cope with the lack of her choice in the matter. So on her wedding day, she started popping pills and it led to an overdose. Now she's going around and attacking what she thinks are fog monsters, but are actually just innocent people. While I was playing, I did spend quite some time wondering if arranged marriages were still a thing in 1960s Japan, but I wasn't entirely sure. I'm pretty sure they were probably on their way out of fashion, for a lack of better term, but obviously arranged marriages are still a huge piece of the puzzle for this game. My feelings towards this ending are kind of a mess. Like, I'm not disappointed, it's just not what I was expecting from a Silent Hill game. In every previous game in the series, you were in the town for a reason. There was something that you were repressing, and the town's job was to make you relive it and come to terms with it. I just didn't get that from this at all. While playing, I kept thinking that there was going to be some big traumatic thing we went through that involved our sister, and that was going to be the big aha moment. But it never happened. I like the story of the game, I really do. It's just not what I was expecting from a Silent Hill game, that's all. I mentioned some names earlier, and you probably are like, who the fuck are you talking about? So let me run through our cast really quickly. Or as quickly as I can. Hinako Shimizu is our main character. You'll be playing as her the entire game. She's got a lot of shit going on and lives in a pretty traumatic household. Her dad is abusive and violent. He also has a raging alcohol addiction. Hinako will constantly talk about how much she hates her dad and how she wants to be rid of him. She also says similar things about her mom, as she feels that it isn't right for her to just accept what her husband does to her. In most of the scenes we see with the 3 of them together, Hinako is always talking about her mother standing up for herself and asking why she lets her dad treat them both like garbage. Pretty rough stuff. Shu Iwai is Hinako's bestest friend. He is constantly referring to her as his partner. There's a huge feeling of tension between the 2 of them for the majority of this game, and for a good while it's pretty unclear whether or not they're an item, so to say. Shu was also very knowledgeable in medicine, as his family are physicians. So, when Hinako starts talking to him about some pretty serious headaches, Shu gives her a box of red and white capsules. Huh. If you know the other endings, him being the one to give her these is huge. Either way, the most you need to know about Shu is that him and Hinako are best friends and he'll do anything to protect her. Rinko Nishida is a colossal bitch. Just kidding. I do hate her guts though. She's a friend of Shu and Hinako, though I would call her anything other than a friend of Hinako, as she treats her like some subhuman garbage for most of the game. She has a huge crush on Shu and is extremely jealous and butthurt that he has such a strong relationship and connection with Hinako. Throughout the game, she is constantly trying to find ways for Shu to be at her side and leave Hinako in the dust, or trying to send Hinako off to go do something so she and Shu can be alone. She lets her jealousy cloud her judgment all of the time and is consistently screwing over Hinako. She sucks, dude. Rinko sucks. I'm gonna rapid fire through these last three as I feel I don't really have too much to say about them. Sakuko Igarashi is another member of Hinako's friend group. Her family manages the local Shinto shrine, and you'll find tons of notes of Sakuko talking about how much pride she takes in that and how she wants to be the head of the shrine one day. She dies pretty early on, so we don't get a bunch of time with her. Junko Kinuta is Hinako's sister. I swear, all of these Japanese names, they're getting to me. I'm trying, but they're getting to me. She's pretty integral to the story as we talk with her a lot as the game goes on. She becomes a key character in the later chapters of the game. Junko is the golden child of Hinako's family. Their father is always comparing the two and saying that Hinako should be more like Junko and all that jazz. Junko doesn't live with her family anymore, however, as she was set up in an arranged marriage. In Hinako's journal, she talks a lot about how her sister's happiness is gone and how she feels that being in an arranged marriage has made Junko unhappy, even despite the fact that Junko constantly says that she is happy. I got the feeling throughout the game that Junko was dead, but it's never clearly stated whether she is or isn't, so The last important character to talk about is Fox Mask, or Tsuneki Kotoyuki, or Hinako's arranged husband-to-be. So, I totally missed that the game tells us who Fox Mask is the first time through. I spent the whole game thinking that he was just some random spirit guiding us through the world, but boy was I wrong. There's a scene in the game where Hinako's father talks about helping him pay off his debt. And I think this means that he arranged this marriage to Kotoyuki to pay off some debt, which sucks, but could be a lot worse. Kotoyuki is shown in the game to be very caring towards Hinako. Unless he's a two-faced snake, there's worse guys to be married off to. And they even have history. They used to be playmates before his family moved away. I get Hinako wanting to be the one to make the choice whether or not she gets married, but Kotoyuki doesn't seem like a bad guy at all. His Fox clan, though, that's a whole other can of worms. As far as my opinions go with the characters, I think Hinako makes for a pretty interesting main character. Her story is interesting enough for me to want to play the game so I can find out what happens, which is good enough for me. As far as everyone else, though, hot take, but Hinako's friend group is garbage. Rinko is stuck up, Shu is too complacent, and Sakuko is extremely insecure. Most of the problems in this group could be solved with a conversation, but these are high schoolers we're talking about. High schoolers don't talk about their feelings. My opinions on Sakuko are very little because we spent so little time with her. Most of the info we get about her is through scraps of paper or in Hinako's journal. We just don't spend hardly any time with her. Rinko sucks balls. She's two-faced as fuck and constantly throws Hinako under the bus for a couple seconds with Shu. From what I can tell, Shu doesn't even like her. Shu obviously wants something more with Hinako, but Hinako doesn't like Shu like that. At least that's what she says in her journal. Overall, this friend group is a mess. Hinako is better off without them, in my opinion. Either way, I can't say that I feel particularly attached to any of these characters outside of Hinako, but that might just be me feeling empathetic for her. I also grew up in a not great household, so I can empathize with her on that front. I don't know, I just didn't find myself caring for any of these other characters except for Hinako. Alright, I've gone on and on about story and lore and how pretty the game is. Let's talk mechanics and gameplay. We'll start with the roughest part, the combat. Honestly, I don't think the combat is that bad, but it's not great either. I do like how much more engaging it is. I hated the combat in Silent Hill 2, because it's just swing pipe, hit baddie, get hit by baddie. I get that combat isn't supposed to be the main focus of the Silent Hill games, it's just in Silent Hill 2 it felt very one note. All of the combat in this game is melee. As far as I know, there are no guns in Silent Hill F, but you still have a wide variety of weapons. From knives, to pipes, to crowbars, all the way up to sledgehammers. There might even be more that I just don't even know about, because I couldn't find them all. When you're in the shrine spirit other world thingy, I don't know. You have a dagger, a long sword, and then eventually a massive fox arm to fight with. I think the combat in this game does require you to think about your moves. Do you really need to fight this particular enemy, or can you just run past it and ignore it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that all combat scenarios in all Silent Hill games are like this, whether you can choose to fight or run. I like that a lot about this series. Combat's not something that I'm very good at, so I like being able to have the choice whether or not I fight something. When you do have to fight, you do need to be mindful of when you attack. There's a counter system in the game where if you counter an enemy's attack at the right time, you do extra damage. My only complaint with this system is that it seems random sometimes. There isn't one particular attack every enemy does that lights up with the counter signal every single time. This led me to going full throttle with a heavy attack because I thought I got the moveset down, only to get bopped because it turns out that this attack wasn't counterable. There were definitely times I struggled with fights in the game, but I would chalk that up to my own lack of skill rather than say it's the game's fault. What I will say, however, is fuck that last fight at the end before you get up to your house. That fight fucking sucks. The combat in this game is honestly my biggest gripe with it, but Silent Hill games aren't exactly known for their stellar combat. And I've never known combat in Silent Hill to ever be rewarding IGN. Sorry, tangent time. IGN's review of Silent Hill F was abysmal. Never ever in the history of time has there ever been a Silent Hill game where you are rewarded for killing enemies, because that's never been what the game is about. And I'm not talking about bosses. To expect this survival horror game to just start dropping shit for killing enemies is wild. You want to be rewarded for killing stuff? Go play Devil May Cry, or God of War, or some other hack and slash game, because that's clearly what you were looking for. You're not going to get that ever with a Silent Hill game. At least, I hope you don't. Please don't do that, Konami. Please. I like the game the way it is. Don't change it. I really enjoyed how this game rewarded you for exploration. If there's something that I like to do in a lot of different games that I play, it's explore and look around for extra tidbits of information or lore or other items, and this game is very good at rewarding you for doing that. A new system that was introduced with this game is the Omamori system. Omamori are a type of equipment that can grant effects when equipped. Every time you go to a save point in the game, you have the option to draw an Omamori, which it's basically like a gacha system. You spend some in-game currency and draw a random Omamori. You don't know what kind of effect it's going to give you. Speaking of in-game currency, there are different items that you can pick up throughout the game that will provide you with some kind of effect, or just sacrificial items. Things that you can give to the shrine, which acts as your save point in the game, and you'll get in-game currency in return. Additionally, there are other items that you can pick up that will offer you effects, and you can also sacrifice them for in-game currency. Me personally, I ended up sacrificing a lot of my Ramune that I picked up because I just did not use them. I liked the Omamori system, but I think that it is very easy to forget that it's even there, in my honest opinion. I think that if they didn't even have this system in the game at all, the game wouldn't change. But, to be fair, I did play this game through on story mode with story puzzles, so I was on the easiest mode that they could have offered. Maybe Omamori is more integral in higher difficulties. I don't know, I haven't played on a higher difficulty yet. Another new system that they brought into the game was a leveling system. Throughout the game, you can find an item called an Emma, and with the Emmas, you take them back to your shrine save point thing and use some of your in-game currency you've been saving up and level up your abilities, whether that's your health, sanity, stamina, or you can also spend points to get another Omamori slot. Oh, also, there's sanity in this game. I don't know what happens if your sanity level runs out. I never let mine run out completely just to see what would happen. I know there's some areas of the game that will draw your sanity, and if your sanity runs out, it'll start drawing from your health instead. But I don't know what happens if you're just doing stuff and your sanity runs out. Don't know. Touching back on combat really quickly, there is a type of combat move that you can use called Focus that draws from your sanity, and it's supposed to do some really big damage when you let the whole, the meter fill. I personally didn't use this move very often, as I didn't think it did that much more damage than just a normal heavy attack, but who knows, maybe it does actually do more damage, I just don't know. Overall, I do like these new systems that they brought into the game. I think that they are interesting. There's just some that I think work better than others, and there are some that I think this game could have gone without and it wouldn't have changed anything at all. Anyway, I don't think I have anything else. It is entirely possible I could be forgetting something, but either way, let's wrap this whole thing up. Overall, I don't think Silent Hill F was a perfect entry in the franchise by any means. I think it's still a great game, though. This new direction Konami is taking this series has me excited to see what's next. Konami said that they were trying to appeal to a newer generation of gamers with this entry, and I think that that's very obvious. If or when they do come out with another entry, I'll be right there waiting for pre-orders to drop, just like I did with this one. I don't like giving scores, but if I had to, I think 9 out of 10 is where I'd put it. It was really, really good. I did enjoy it a lot. Not perfect, but very good. Thanks for watching this video. I don't do these commentary/essay style videos very often, but I really appreciate you watching this one. I'm pretty sure this is my first ever attempt at it. If you liked the video, let me know by subscribing and liking the video and commenting. Check me out on my Twitch. I multi-stream there and YouTube Tuesday through Saturday. You can also find all of my other social media in the description as well. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.